How you doing? This is Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures. In this video, I'm going to install all the Dragon 10 accessories for this Dragon 10 compound bow. So I'll be putting on the arrow rest, the quiver, the sight, and the stabilizer. I will show you how to set up the rest so that it is limb driven. As you can see here, it's attached to the limb down here. In the past, when I've done limb driven bows, I've always attached the limb cable down here, but Sanlita has a little metal bracket or hoop for you to use for the limb driven accessory there. And so anyway, I'm going to set that up in this video and we're going to get right to it.
Okay, so in the box you have a retaining bracket that keeps the arrow on the rest. You have the extra spring and bolt. Here is the actual rest right here. It's a drop away rest, and it has the ability to run off of the cable or the limb. It comes able to run off the cable. So we're going to move this piece here and swap out the springs in order to run it off of the limb as opposed to the cable. So I'm going to take this screw out here to begin with the correct Allen wrench key. I'm going to slide this off, and I'm going to pay attention because when I put it back on, it's going to face the opposite direction for the limb driving option. So you need a little C-clip pair of pliers to get the C-clip off, and then there's a little cylinder type piece. You need a flat-ended screwdriver to kind of pop that out. Sorry, my hands are a little bit in the way here. So this cylinder piece comes out, and there's a spring attached. So we're going to swap the springs. The other spring coils in the opposite direction, which enables it to be used as a limb driver option as opposed to cable driven. And you're going to push the spring into this piece that we took out, and then you're going to put it back in. Now the spring sticks in. There's one little hole in the top of the unit on the inside. You got to get it to stick in. And what I realized after my first attempt is you need to install the spring. If you're looking at the inside of that cylinder piece that you take out, you install it at around the 3 o'clock position. And then when you push it in, you got to actually line up the thing and then turn it about a quarter of a turn in order to load the spring. And now the spring is in the upright position here. After I've done that. So I put it in and lined up that hole, turned it about a quarter of a turn, and then pushed it the rest of the way in. So you might have to fiddle around with that a little bit. And then the next step after that's all in place is we're going to reinstall that C-clip that we took off the outside edge here. But you may need to fiddle with that a little bit. It's not like super easy, but obviously it's doable. So now here's the C-clip. I'm just going to slide that back on and pop it into place.
Now we're going to put this in the opposite direction it was before. So before Okay, so I've installed this with the spring to the right side as opposed to the left. And the string that comes with it is too short for the limb driver setup, so we have to swap out that with a longer string. And then we can install it on the bow using our bolt and washer. Alright, I'm also going to say this too before we go. If you want to install the capture ring, one of the screws that holds it on fell out and was in the box. The other is just lightly in there. You can take it out by hand, as you can see. Then this is going to be installed here. You just use the appropriate Allen wrench to screw those in. So the easiest way is going to be to just slide these into the holes here. This. And then screw those on. Sorry, my hands are in the way. Okay, so here we have it. So the rope's going to hold it in a down position. When you draw the bow back, the limb will bend, and the arrow rest will come up in the upright position. And when you shoot the bow, the limb will straighten back out and pull it back down. Let's go set it up. Okay, so our arrow rest will go on here. There is a little screw right in there that you can tighten down to keep it from moving, which you're going to want to do if you're going to use it in the limb driver option. So I'm just going to use some of this type of rope.
For the knot, I'm just going to use the same knot that you use for tying on a D-loop here. And I'll get the string as taut as I can, but then I'll make a slight adjustment with the upper adjustment area here. Okay, everything's pretty much in position. I'm just going to look over it here from top to bottom. Just make sure it looks right. Everything's looking good. The rest is going to come up. And the string is attached down to the bottom. Looks like we're good to go.
All right, now that I've shown you how to set up and you install the arrow rest in the limb-driven direction, I'm going to now show you how to set it up as it comes with the cable-driven option. You're always going to want to attach this to the downward traveling cable on your compound bow, and you're also going to want to set the little knuckle here, this little thing that attaches it to the cable, right around the bottom of the grips. Okay, so I've just installed this with the bolt and the washer. I've also tightened that up. I like to keep it just off the riser over here. I can see right here that this needs to be adjusted a little bit. I'm going to just do that now so that it's closer to where it needs to be. Now for this little piece that attaches it to the cable, you can tie it into the cable. That's another approach, but I'm just going to use what it comes in the package here. So you need to find the correct Allen wrench for loosening this little screw in here. Okay, so the nut just fell out of the back, which means I've loosened it all the way. So you need to be careful of that. And then what we're going to do, so this is the downward traveling cable, the one closest to the riser. And we want to set this up so that it's close to the bottom of the grip area here. So I'm going to just carefully pull this apart. There we go. And then this is going to have the cable of the bow going through one of these troughs and the cable of the rest going through the other. So the nut goes into this side the way I have it. Now I've gotten that started. I'm going to want to pull, I'm going to set that right around the bottom of the grip. One thing you're going to want to do at this phase is before it's fully tightened, but a little bit snug so that this doesn't come through too easily. I want to snug it a little bit more. Is I'm going to draw the bow back to set this. Okay, so it can move through, but it's getting a little difficult. And then I will draw the bow
and set that. So let me do that real quick.
Okay, so I've just grabbed a Dragon 10 arrow. Just going to pop it on here. I'm not going to actually shoot, I'm just drawing the bow back to set the rest. Got a target right here. Alright, so that pulled the rest into the upright position, and the extra string that needed to slide through while it was held in the upright position did. Now I can tighten that down. Any fine tuning I need to do, I can do with the way they have this this part designed. You can see about how much cord I have that's limp in the resting position. Again, this is at the bottom of the grip. There is some excess here that you can trim off, and I did tighten it up a little bit right here. When it's in the upright position, you want the arm to be basically in line with this. See, when I push that up, if it's like not, if it's down here, then you want to tighten it up so that it's all the way in the upright position for proper use in that. Now let's move on to the next accessory. For the stabilizer, it's just a matter of screwing it into the front of the bow. Now if you have a wrist sling, some attach here. I like to use just cordage and tie it on to the riser like that, because the cordage is kind of rigid and it just, you can slide my hand in there very nicely. But if you're going to use one that attaches here, make sure you put that on first. And there's your Sandlita stabilizer. Okay, let's take a look at the sight. Alright, so for this sight, we're going to mount the sight pins into the bracket bar here. To do that, we're going to start by taking the sight light off. This is going to slide through here, and this is going to be adjusted for windage when we get to the sighting in process. But for now, I am just going to slightly snug that so it's not sliding out on us. Okay. Now for the sight light, in order to get it to work, there's going to be a plastic piece in here that just fell out. It's a clear plastic piece right there. And I'm going to put this back in. Yeah, our sight light is working. Should we turn that off? Now this design of sight, you do currently need a sight light to be able to see the pins. Because the fiber optics come into this tube, you need to have the sight light so that you can see the pins. If you don't have the sight light, you won't be able to see your pins. I have encouraged them to change the design so that the fiber optics can receive natural light so that you can at least see them no matter what. You have a vertical windage adjustment here, which is going to enable you to set this sight to be able to shoot at really long distances, even out to like 100 yards. Okay, and then for our dovetail, we're going to take that off and we're going to install this on the bow. Now, as far as which set of holes you want, this is where you're going to mount the quiver. So traditionally, you mount the quiver toward the back. I would say I might mount like this in the quiver here, and that's going to keep the weight of the quiver central to the riser. So I'll open my bag here to get my screws and everything. Now this is going to allow you to do a quick release. There's also a screw in the other side where you can tighten that in and leave it more permanent. For the quiver, you can actually just drop the screws down through and install the quiver with it attached to the mounting bracket. One encouragement I want to make when you mount the quiver is make sure that the vertical facing slot is facing the top of the bow. The horizontal facing slot is facing the back of the bow. If the vertical slot is facing down, what can happen is the quiver can slide out of the horizontal and then just drop out of the bottom due to gravity. So I urge you to make sure that it's mounted that way. And there is our Sanlita Dragon 10 accessories. Okay, so there you have it. I've installed some Dragon 10 arrows into the quiver here. And for as far as adjusting the sight, it's a matter of getting the windage left and right. You also have micro adjust knobs here, and the vertical you can obviously adjust. And then once you get it to where you want it, you can tighten that in to help lock that in place. So there you have the sight, quiver, and rest and stabilizer for the Dragon 10. Pretty nice setup. And I want to thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you'll stay tuned to videos in the future. Until next time, take care and God bless.